It's the battle for Wolf Canyon. Absolute carnage in the Middle Ages. This one's a big old Photoshop project. A whole load of photo stocks, 100 plus layers, 50 plus images, and in this video I'm going to show you how I did it. Stick with us to the end on this one, guys, as we'll give you the full A to Z breakdown on how this one was done.
Right, Clinton, tell me a bit about this process, the sketch, and also we had a comment saying about that divine, what's it called, that swirly thing?
The golden spiral, I think it.
The golden ratio.
Oh, yeah, the golden ratio. There's a few different names here.
I didn't ask about it on the last one. What is that, and why do you use it?
I don't use it for every project. So just now and again, I'll put it on to see if the elements in the image line up together. If you can get the movement of the image to follow the line in that ratio, it supposedly makes a better image. But again, it's one of those things. It does work a little bit, but I wouldn't use that all the time. I would just try and focus on storytelling over just trying to fit everything into a certain grid.
And for the guys watching, how do you make it appear? How do you use that tool?
So if you go into the crop tool, you can actually, at the top there'll be a bar which has different
it gives you options.
Yeah, it gives you options. So you've got the rule of thirds grids, you've got the golden spiral grid, and then you've actually got a few other ones as well which I've never used, but it's worth going in and having a look at them.
So you've got some stock elements here where there's loads of stuff going on, loads of guys fighting and stuff. Did you use any particular compositing elements for cutting these guys out?
I actually know. I got someone else to cut them out.
Oh, yeah.
Like cutting out has become the worst part of editing for me. So as you can see, all these images have already been cut out by someone else. And at the beginning,
fair enough.
If you saw the two main guys, you saw me starting to cut them out, and then I was just like, I can't be bothered. And I just paid someone to do it.
Well, that's the benefits of having a design agency, isn't it? You've got someone on hands to. But if the guys want to watch someone spend 10 hours cutting out stock images, they can always watch one of my videos. So no harm, no foul. That picked up speed really fast. So give us a bit of insight into what's going up.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get the overall composition together. When you've got loads of elements, what I like to do is just bring them all in and kind of place them around where I think they would be best placed. And then from there on, I'll bring I'm bringing the sky now. So I'm trying to set the mood, because I think sometimes the sky sets the mood for the rest of the image. If you have if you have a bad sky, I think it can let your image down sometimes. So I'm just blending different skies together here. So I wanted dark clouds around the sides. So instead of using a vignette, I'm actually using the clouds as a vignette instead of actually just putting one with the adjustment layers.
Yeah, that's quite clever. Sorry, man, carry on.
Yeah, and then I wanted the bright of the sun to be in the center, because then you have the contrast against the guys what are fighting in the middle. And again, you're creating GAC, which is greatest area of contrast. So that's where your eyes are going to go to first.
Right. Let's get a rewind on that. GAC, greatest area of contrast. Explain that for me, please.
So again, this is all about using composition and certain things to guide the viewer around the image. Obviously, I wanted the two guys fighting in the middle to be where your eye goes to first. So what I did was I created a kind of the sun going down in the center. And obviously, when the sun goes down, that's where the brightest part of the image will be. And then I put those two guys fighting over the top, and they're darker. So because that's the greatest area of contrast in this image, that's where your eye will go to first.
Okay, I normally call it a focal point, but yours sounds way more fancy than mine. Greatest area, is that a photography term? Greatest?
It's a composition term, greatest area of contrast, and this, GAC for short.
This is why I love doing Clinton videos, because even I learn stuff on these.
And it's just another method of getting how you want the viewer to move around your image. And like you said, focal point, they are the main focal point, but you can have different focal points in your image. You just need to lead people to them.
I love the fact that you used the darker clouds to create a faux vignette because that's a technique that I use often as well, to shape the light and the area of focus. That's cool. What was the inspiration for this particular piece? Have you seen something recently, or had a?
I guess not really. I just had an idea. I just wanted to create something epic, and I mean, I do watch a lot of movies, so I have probably watched a few kind of medieval movies. I watched one called, I think it was called The King, and then there was another one with about the Scottish king, Robert the Bruce. I watched that as well recently, so maybe it's just a little bit of that coming into play.
And you know what? There's a lot of historical stuff being done at the moment, and loads of it is Japanese and samurai flavored from our channel, from other channels. It's what's in vogue at the moment. So as soon as this one rolled in, I was like that there, classic Clinton, bucking the trends, doing some good old European medieval history. I love it.
It's just in my DNA to go against what the trend is. For some reason, I've never been someone who likes to follow trends. If there's a trend going on, I'll try and do something completely different. I'm not sure why. I guess I probably should ask my parents, but
yeah. But it's cool. It's got a fresh flavor to it. Now you've got things going on in the foreground. You've got things going on in the midground, and then you got things going on in the background. Can you talk a bit about the hierarchy of how you decided for the positioning? What's the difference between those elements?
So when you're creating an image, you don't want it to feel flat, you want depth. So I look at it as there's three planes: there's the background, the middle ground, and the foreground. The middle ground is usually where the main interest is going to be, and then your foreground is to create depth, and the background as well is just to set the atmosphere, but also to create depth as well. So as you can see, the people in the middle are going to have more contrast than the ones in front. The ones in the foreground are going to be a little bit blurry, and they're going to be darker and a little bit less contrast, so your eye doesn't get drawn to them. Your eye will probably move around the image and find them later. And then you've got your background, which is usually going to be, if it's an outside one, it's going to be contrasted, but also there's going to be a lack of contrast to create aerial perspective. I know you like that word.
I do like that word. For the new guys watching today, just give us a quick rundown again of aerial perspective. What does aerial perspective mean?
Is just the atmospheric haze. You're getting the distance. So you can mimic that in images. And I don't know if I've got to that part yet, but if you watch, I start adding a little bit of haze between the soldiers in the middle as well, just to separate them from each other, because I don't want them to just turn into like a big dark patch of metal and spikes. I want them to kind of stand out. And later on, I also add fire in between them as well to separate certain parts of the soldiers.
Yeah, that's cool. And a little term that I don't know if it's used by other people, but with pieces like this, it can turn into pixel soup, as in it's not discernible. And that's a clever thing to do, to have fire in between those rows of soldiers, to highlight and accentuate the different tiers of activity.
All I'm really using here is my same workflow, and I'm just like following the rules of composition or the rules of art, and that's basically it. And I do that with every image. There's no fancy, I wouldn't say there's any fancy tricks really in here, or anything what's too complicated for anyone else to learn how to do. It's just getting all those things and pulling them together in one image.
I'm looking at the layer stack, and in typical Clinton fashion, we've got a lot of curves action going on. Now you use curves to lighten, darken, tweak color values, and all sorts. So it does seem to make up the majority of your particular workflow. So
as you can see, all these elements what I've brought in, what I'll do is I've brought the elements in, and then every single element I'll match the tonal values, I'll match the color values, and then I'll match the saturation, and then I do that for every single element, and then I'll go through and start working out, should these be dark, should they be light, or should they be overly bright? And I do that for every element as well.
Would you say that 8 out of 10 adjustments that you do are curves? Would that be a fair ratio?
I would probably say yeah. There's a lot.
I see you got some classic old deviant art elements in there. You do know we've got all of that stuff on Neostock in print resolution.
What, the flags and everything?
Everything, the whole shebang.
I mean, DeviantArt, if I can't find anything on Adobe stock, DeviantArt is usually my next go-to. just because it has random
it's a good
stuff on
tip,
there.
but not all of the guys watching these videos can afford stock images. We're later in our career. We're old dogs.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a grey beard. I'm at the stage now where I can afford stock images, but a lot of the newbies that are watching this video can't afford stock images yet. They will do one day, but right now, DeviantArt is a good tip.
Yeah, DeviantArt is definitely good. I mean, always type stock at the end if you're trying to find some. I feel that makes it a little bit easier to find stock images.
It's no longer a good art platform for sharing your work or getting feedback, but for gaining assets and for getting assets for free, well, that's where I started. That's where I got my first stocks.
Yeah, I think that's where mostly everyone started. I was on there for a little bit. I tended to use it more for the free stock images than I did to showcase my work, but yeah, definitely used it.
I've been thinking a lot about the guys that can't afford stock images, and we get a lot of comments. With the website launch, photomanipulation.com, we're actually putting out a sampler pack that will have everything: fire, overlays, figures. So any video that we do, any tutorial that we do, if the people watching can't afford any stock images, they can download our sample pack and follow any tutorial or video and give it a go themselves. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah,
because it's easy for us to forget us old dogs that, you know, not everyone's in the same position as us with their fancy kind of Adobe stock for teams.
I used to struggle. Yeah, I had to struggle trying to find the right stock images, or just trying to find high quality stock images for free. So totally understand where those people are coming from.
Yeah, but we'll have that all set up and ready to rock within the next 8 weeks. So that'll be exciting. These ones here, you've got a lot of Adobe stock there.
Yeah, I actually think some of it is the Neo stock fire pack as well.
The Epic Overlays bundle.
Yeah, the Epic Overlays bundle. I use the fire pack, I use the particles, and I think I even used some light leaks as well towards the end.
Yeah, cool. Your rim lighting that you're doing here, is that a bog standard brush, or do you use a chalky brush?
I was trying to. Yeah, I was actually trying to use I don't usually use a hard brush, but I thought, I wonder what the effects will be if I use a hard brush. And I think it was a little bit too harsh, so I went back and just refined it using blend diff, and then also used the layer mask just to soften those edges. For me, rim lighting is somewhat what has to be done gradually, and it has to be played with a lot as well.
Yep.
It's hard to get it right the first time, so I usually build it up over different layers and using blend diff and then masking little bits in and out. If you like this video and the techniques in it, be sure to check out my Hollywood processing course. In this premium course, we cover how to take your images from boring to Hollywood with styling tips, light tricks, dodge and burn, and much more. The link for that is in the description. Check it out.
When I first saw this piece, when you first sent it to me, I thought, right, it's a brilliant composite. I really liked it. But then I was really wondering what it'd look like if one of the overpaint artists took it and then took it to another level by turning it into like a natural media style overpainted thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what did they do? Did they just paint over the top of it, or what?
Well, there's loads of different styles. There are guys that do it, guys and girls that do it in an oil paint style. There are scratchy kind of rough and ready artists like Imada Wan that has a rough textured feel. All really, really good. But when I saw this, I thought, wow, you could take this one step further and transform it into a seriously epic painting.
I don't have much idea about mixed media painting, to be fair. I tried painting when I was younger. I was bad at it, so I kind of stuck to different things. But I do appreciate, like, I got to visit a lot of galleries just to look at paintings. But yeah, it's something.
Well, just hearing your artistic knowledge in these videos, you definitely put a lot more intense thought into the kind of artistic considerations of composition and lighting and depth and realism. And that's why we got you on the team, man, because, you know, I don't know a lot of this stuff. I'm just winging it.
I think we all are sometimes. But like, as you can see now, we've got to the dodge and burn, but I didn't actually dodge and burn that much this image. I pulled out some little details in the main guys, and that was about it. And then after that, it's all about blending. So using light leaks and light flares and little particles. And the more inconsistencies you can put in, I think the more realistic it looks. And that's my style, really. I go for either cinematic or photorealism. I do have surreal bits in there, but I don't like to go too surreal.
Yeah, the cinematic angle is your style. I wouldn't want you to ever change that. Right.
And this is the particle overlay getting used now.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for the shout out, man. Right. The light source is behind the guys, and the illumination of the guys, they're quite dark. Can you explain why?
Yeah, because in real life, when you're backlit, if we're looking from the opposite side, you're going to be dark apart from rim light coming around you. So again, I work from realism. So I think if I was stood here and I was looking forward and there was two guys in front of me and the sun was behind them, how would they be lit? And then that's how I try and incorporate that style into my work. If I didn't follow those rules, I think the image would lose some of its definitely lose its realism, but I just don't think it'd be as cinematic either. Cinema is all about light and dark, and it's how those two play together.
Absolutely. The DPs, directors of photography, really take a lot of time to frame, compose, and light those shots.
Yeah.
And all of that goes on behind the scenes. We don't normally see or hear about the process, but like some people, like Stanley Kubrick, would spend days on a single shot.
Oh yeah, he was a perfectionist. Apparently, he would go over like hundreds and hundreds of takes just to get exactly how he wanted it. And you kind of got to admire that as well.
Yeah,
because
and
forcing all those people on that set to do it hundreds and hundreds of times, I bet it's not easy.
No, not at all. Especially not easy for the people having to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the middle area where the light is catching on the kind of grass and the kind of moss in the center. Can you explain a bit about how you created the accentuated lights?
Yeah, so
if you can remember.
I basically found a stock image where the sun was in a similar position and where it was kind of shining along the grass, and I cut those areas out what were reflecting the sun in that image, brought them into this image, and I just switched it onto a light and blend mode. So basically I just pinched the highlights from the landscape. Blend mode. Light and blend mode.
Why did you choose lighten as opposed to screen or dodge or
lighten gave the best effects? So
you just cycled through a couple and you thought that's the one, and you left it.
Yeah. I just cycled through and thought that one looks the most realistic. I'll use lighten. So I basically just pinched the highlights from one image and put them into this image.
And you said I grabbed them. What compositing method did you use?
Rough and ready. I used the lasso tool. Just quickly did a quick, I don't know, oblong around them, and then
did you feather that? Did you feather the selection? Or
no, but I used the layer mask and just painted in the.
So you just manually. So you took it down as like a sharp circle, and then you added a layer mask. You used a soft edge brush, and on the layer mask, painted around the edge to get it exactly as you needed it. Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Good shout. And we got some nice smoke overlays coming in here. More stuff from Epic Overlays. Good to see you use this bundle at last, man.
Well, I mean, you only had to tell me 500 times, didn't you?
You know, I had to poke you with a sharp stick. Yeah. Use your stuff. It's really good.
Oh no, it's amazing. Yeah, the thing is, I'm always looking for those kind of things. For some reason, I'm ADHD. One thing, someone will tell me something and I'll forget it. Like,
well, you've got a lot of plates spinning, man. So I fully understand.
But no, the overlays were great. I was impressed. The smoke ones were great for the kind of all sorts of
I saw that in play in the top left there. I really like the layers of depth to this image. Can you talk a bit about that shadow process? You've used that technique a couple of times now.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't say this is the best way to do shadows. It was just for me the easiest way. Shadows is another part of the images for me, which they're a little bit boring to do. So I basically just duplicated the layers of the models. Used the curves adjustment, turned them black by just pulling down the highlights, and then I just reversed them, and then just used blend diff to blend it into the ground.
And when you say reverse, can you explain how you reverse?
Yes, I used free transform. So if you press Ctrl T, free transform pops up, and then I just held down Shift, and then I just pulled from the top all the way to the bottom, and it just stretches the image downwards. So then you kind of get a mirror image of the one that you're using, and then basically because it's black, it already looks like a shadow, but then you blend diff, it just blends it into the ground a bit better.
Brilliant. Clintonimus, I had so much fun checking out your process on that one. Appreciate
man.
you sharing that with us today. Guys, if you enjoyed this one, the tag team with me and Clinton, be sure to watch the next one coming up now, where we'll go more in depth and share tips and techniques on how to create fantasy art in Photoshop. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you the next one. See you then.